Okay, Manish Agarwal of Nazara Tech joins us to talk about their latest acquisition, how the gaming as a business is evolving, and how should markets really look at Nazara Tech? Because apart from, this is one company which, in a sense, is now investing in other gaming companies, and a business model which, if I would like to draw a parallel for our viewers here, is that look at InfoEdge. They started with Naukri, and then they started investing in other companies like Zomato, Policy Bazaar, and when those businesses they grew, the re-rating of InfoEdge I think was huge. Manish Agarwal, let's talk about your last acquisition, which is Publish Me. How does this fit in? Because my understanding of your business model is that you are a company with original license of your own games, but your big business now is to take bets in other gaming companies and invest in them and see them grow.
Hi, good morning, and thanks for having me here. I think at the heart of our business is the three cohorts of consumers, and all our strategy you will see around that. One is 2 to 12 young kids, 14 to 25 male sports fans, and then 25 plus gamers. That's our three cohorts of audiences. And all our acquisitions will fit into these cohorts where either we are acquiring IPs or we are acquiring capabilities to grow our businesses. So that's a very fundamental, simple framework we have for us. And the geographies which we look at India, South Asia, Africa, Middle East, all emerging markets which are seeing a very strong tailwind across gaming and adjacencies to gaming. And we are just in a golden decade. We like to be a very dominant gaming company in the emerging markets with very strong foothold in India. So that's a simple thought process. Now, if you see, to answer your question, Publish Me allows us to build capabilities for us to build gaming IPs in Middle East. Gaming is a very cultural entertainment. It's driven by very strong influencer local community ecosystem. And that's why having on-ground understanding of what will the consumer need and how would kind of really pan out both in terms of retention engagement as well as in consumer acquisition and community building is an important aspect for us to succeed. And Publish Me brings us that execution capability for us to build a foundation and then take it forward.
How much of your business growth will come from your original core businesses, where IPs you own and platforms which have been developed by Nazara Tech, by your own gaming team, and how much will come by the investments which you've done? I'm using the InfoEdge example just for the benefit of our viewers because that's a parallel which I can draw.
So if you look at it, InfoEdge had its own Naukri or Shiksha or Makan as its own subsidiaries, and then they're investing. Nazara 3 years back really kind of took a call that gaming is a very talent-driven business, or maybe 4 years back, it's a talent-driven business, and that talent is very passionate about what they create, and you need to work with that talent to grow those companies. So if you see the Nazara's telco business, which we have been doing for 15 years, is almost now 13-14% of the overall portfolio. And our IPs, which we have acquired and grown over the last 3-4 years, like Kidopia, like Nordwin, Sportskeeda, the World Cricket Championship, they're all growing. So if you look at our strategy has been to build that whole Friends of Nazara as a concept and then continue to build value with those founders at the subsidiary levels.
Sure. Manish, also wanted to get in a sense of, the overall business. Ever since the start of the pandemic, we've well established that most people are spending a whole lot of time on gaming. But just wanted to know, from the start of the pandemic to now, how has your overall business shaped up, and what kind of margin figures or levels or range do you now see sustainable going forward?
So if you look at it, gaming as a trend, secular trend, was even in a very advanced stage before COVID. And I think there are two key reasons for that. One, launch of Jio in India, which really kind of made data prices not a factor impacting the growth. And the second is the whole UPI microtransaction infrastructure. And I think that is what the 2017-18 has been a kind of a pivotal time period for Indian gaming to take off. And COVID accelerated some of those trends, especially in esports, where more participative competition tournament people started playing, more social competitive multiplayer happens, as well as the viewership of esports and sports entertainment. I think that's one thing which has really kind of grown. Otherwise, the whole gaming trend was really growing very fast. And if you see our own numbers, even before COVID, we were growing almost for 48, 50% year on year. Then combination of acquisition and growth, we grew 87%. And we are continuing to see the momentum of growth in different businesses we already have. And from our perspective, if you see, the acquisitions are in the areas which I spoke to you to fill those white spaces so that we can really have different cohorts and offerings which map those cohorts, given that this market or the emerging markets are very huge and we can grow in multiple cohorts simultaneously. And our Friends of Nazara structure allows us to do that.
Can Nayantara take over?
Hi, Manish. I still remember just before COVID when Satya Nadella was in India, Mukesh Ambani and him on stage were talking about how e-gaming in India can become bigger than music, shopping and TV. Now, the Chinese saying that gaming is equivalent to spiritual opium. Has India indeed become a beneficiary of that? Have you already started seeing that?
I think India has its own huge spiritual depth for the gaming to provide that spiritual opium, right? That's on the lighter note. On the serious note, if you see, India is still a 2-3 year, 4-year-old kind of a story of a gaming and esports. The number of serious gamers is just 100 million. The total gaming pool is 450 million, but it's still a very small market. And the growth of this market is going to come in next 3, 4, 5 years. So I don't see that kind of an history of 40, 50 years, 60 years, which China has on gaming, massive amount of LAN gaming, moving to PC gaming, moving to mobile gaming. We never had a PC gaming or a LAN gaming. Our gaming is all limited and coming from mobile as an access device. And it's a 3-4 years old industry. So I do not see that kind of a challenge of spiritual opium really kind of happening here. However, it is always important as an industry to really look at what's happening in the markets, which are far, far ahead of you, 7-8 years ahead of you, and then work with stakeholders today so that you can ensure that you are creating and evangelizing what are the benefits of gaming. Second, you're also creating a self-regulatory framework within the industry to ensure that you do not have the same fate. So all of that is happening, and that's the advantage of hindsight, which you can see the markets like East and West both and learn from them and create your own structures in place.
The other problem, and we're literally in the initial days of gaming, right? Like you said, 400 million plus gamers is what we have in India, and it's only getting bigger and bigger. But one problem, and even though more dollars are probably coming into India thanks to what's happening in China, is that at least 4 states in India, all of them from the south, have taken a stance against e-gaming. Karnataka being the latest one, is the technology hub of the country, is the home of the startups, and many of the gaming unicorns and startups as well. Is this a risk when it comes to this business for you?
So if you look at the risk of gaming, which you were talking about, is predominantly limited to skill-based real money gaming, where people are wagering their money and to win a larger pot of money. The non-real money gaming part, which is about free-to-play mobile gaming, esports, or gamified learning, do not fall into this bracket, and they are very, very kosher activities, and they have no such issues at all. That's coming back to the skill-based real money gaming. I think the way I am looking at the clarity will emerge on game of skill and game of chance. You would have heard about the Madras High Court decision, which quashed the TN government decision saying that you cannot really kind of ban skill-based gaming people playing that in your state, which they have kind of really appealed in Supreme Court. The matter is sub judice. But in my opinion, what is going to happen over these iteration and tribulations and engagements and evangelizing, the difference between a game of chance versus game of skill will emerge. And that's how the clarity on the policy enabling framework will emerge in going forward, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 quarters. But these are all parts of an industry which is really growing very fast. And gaming has a very strong mass perception that you are kind of really not doing physical exercise. That's one thing which has been associated with esports being added into Asian Games. Our athletes have a very, very strong chance of winning medals. I think all those positive things will come into play in coming time when we'll have national esports championships, and all of this will play well in creating a positive perception around gaming. Currently, what you are kind of, because of the nascency, because of the shorter period of time, you are kind of dealing with a perception of 30, 40, 50 years, and which is going to really take time to change. And that can only change through large ticket items like Asian and Olympics, plus constant engagements with the stakeholders.
Right. Okay, great to have you on the show, Manish, and get in all that insight. And good speaking with you as always.
Thank you. Thanks.